Hi guys, thanks so much for joining All Things Amy today. I'm making sourdough sandwich bread. It is quite easy to make. It takes a little time because it raises for a while, but as long as you build in that time, make it the night before and let it raise all night, you're ready to roll. It's so delicious. Start with a half a cup to a cup of sourdough starter. Anything in between works just fine. And we're going to start with all of the water, which is a cup and a half. And we're going to do an oddlize, which is just half the flour in the beginning here. I like to break up that sourdough starter just a little. It came straight out of my fridge, so it was a little bit cold. Then add half of the flour, which is a cup and a half of flour. Then you can stir this together, and you'll have a really, really wet dough because we have more flour coming soon. Cover it with a wet towel for 1 hour. Now you're going to add a teaspoon and a half of salt and a teaspoon and a half of sugar. Stir this in, and then we'll add the rest of the flour, which is another cup and a half. And this is what it looks like after you add that flour. It's very wet, very shaggy, and we're not going to be working with this dough with our hands very much at all. All the work will be done in the long rise time. So now just cover this with a wet rag and raise it anywhere from 5 hours to 12 hours. I usually do it overnight. This time I did it for about 6 hours. And here it is, it's ready, it's doubled in size. Now butter a pan really well, very generously. And then I leave the butter on my hands to now take the dough out of this bowl, this very wet dough. And we're not going to work with it much. I'm just going to lift it out of that bowl and then round it out just a little bit on the top. And then just plop it right into the pan. If you're not able to get it very smooth on the top, it still works, so don't worry about it. I've just done it a few hundred times or more. And then cover this and let it rise for about 1 to 3 hours. It usually takes about 2 hours. Until it's right at the top of the pan. And then preheat your oven and plop it in the oven at 425 for 33 minutes. It's a nice light brown. And I put a little butter on the top. Sometimes I miss this step and it's just as good. So no worries if you don't do this part. But it gives it that shine. It softens it just a little on the crust. Boy, that's beautiful, isn't it? Let's cut into this and see what we find inside. I like to use a very sharp serrated knife and kind of saw right down into it about an hour after it's come out of the oven. And you'll see the texture of this bread is very light and fluffy, and it bounces back very easily, and it's very chewy. We never buy sandwich bread anymore at the store. Why would we? This is so easy to make and it's so delicious. And the sourdough benefits for our gut health, it's so worth it. Okay, let's put some butter on and have Jessie try it. Bite?
Yeah.
Still a little bit warm, huh? Okay, let's see what you think. Whoa, that's a big bite. It's hard not to take a huge bite. This is that delicious. Try that? Okay, tell me the truth. How is it?
That is so good.
Looks like you've already eaten quite a bit of it. Okay, take one more bite. We want to see you take a bite. How's that crust?
Very good. And the inside is moist.
Is it? Is it chewy?
Mm-hmm.
Do you taste a little bit of the crunchiness on the crust? But it's not as crunchy as artisan. It's a different
And it
kind of
has
bread.
a sourdough taste.
Good, because it is a sourdough bread. You love it? How would it be with some jam on it?
Good.
Should we try that next?
Yep.
Can't go wrong with a little homemade raspberry jam. Look up my raspberry jam recipe. Thanks so much for joining. Have a wonderful day, and please remember, all things done with love.